Good morning, my dear ones from the UK. Bit dull this morning. We've not had snow yet. We're expecting it, so I've been out shopping, got all my stuff in ready to batten down the hatches. What a time I have had, have you? I had Christmas Day on my own, I had everything on my own, I still haven't spoken to anyone since before Christmas. No, that's wrong, I've got a friend of mine who does the computer for me, and he rang to see if I was okay, and I rang him back because I wasn't okay. I'd lost 6 months of my work. I'm keeping a record of what happens to me, and I've been doing it for a couple of years actually, and it just suddenly disappeared. Can you imagine? I'm not very technically minded, and I had to find this 6 months. It took me about 2 hours. Got there in the end. Good brain exercise. So I'm pretty exhausted. It's strange being with nobody, with no conversation. It's actually stressful because you're on your own and you're not aware how stressful it is, but it's not natural, is it, really? I mean, I have my Netflix and I didn't even put a tree up, as you know. So it's a pretty bleak time, really, but I did manage to get out to the Petwood Hotel, my favourite place, which I'm going to put a link on because there's a story which I won't have time to tell you. I go to this place called Petwood Hotel. It's in Woodhall Spa, Lincolnshire, and it's where the Spitfire pilots and Lancaster pilots used to stay. It was their home, their billet, if you like, and it's got a little bar there with all the memorabilia in. I love going, and I came across these guys in spirit. Sitting in a bar one day, they all gathered round me. It was really lovely. This is 2 or 3 years ago, so I make an effort. It's celebration times like Christmas, to go there. Even on Christmas Day, I sat outside in the freezing cold with my fur coat and my hat and talked to these chaps. It was just really lovely. It was really lovely because I don't see them, but I know they're there, and they like to hear stuff that's happening on the earth plane, you see. And I'm sitting there talking to myself. What people must have thought who was sitting in the restaurant behind me, I don't know, but I don't really care. Just about 20 minutes. So that was my Christmas Day, really. So I've been reflecting on Christmas Day. It's not really Christmas Day, is it? It's more like Saturnalia. Have you heard of Saturnalia? Saturn's the planet, and Saturnalia is the festival the Romans used to celebrate midwinter. Cheer everybody up, no Christmas trees of course, but they're feasting and dancing and all the stuff that goes with it. It's Saturnalia, so it's a midwinter celebration. And when the Christians came along, they had a similar idea about the birth of Jesus, which probably isn't Christmas at all. They decided to put the two celebrations together to make it a Christmas. But you see, there's no Christ in Christmas. Have you noticed it? Is there a Christ anywhere in Christmas? In fact, people send Christmas cards, they cross the Christ out, don't they? Happy Xmas. I think too much, don't I? But it's true. It's not Christmas. I could imagine sitting here on my own. I'm ranting and railing it with David. You silly fools! You don't know what Christmas is. It's Saturnalia you're celebrating, and Christmas is a Christ Mass, the Mass of Christ. Anyway, we didn't have either. Oh, I have my little celebration. I've got my little nativity. I mentioned this last time, but it's a little nativity. It's all porcelain thing. I've got it all set up in my hallway. Baby Jesus. 3 shepherds and 3 kings. I put their heads back on. They fell off last time. Anyway, they're all sitting there because it's the 6th of January tomorrow, which is Epiphany. Not everyone knows that. Epiphany is a very important time. It's the time when the 3 wise men actually found the stable. Well, I think it's more like 6 weeks apparently, but I think it's 3 weeks, isn't it, when we end Christmas season? So you get these beings on their camels travelling all the way across the desert, following this star, and they get to Bethlehem at Epiphany, the 6th of January. It's a very important time. It is, because it's the real gathering of the clans, if you like. So 6th of January will be a powerful day, and we've also got a full moon, so it's going to be a bit of a tricky time, isn't it? So what with the Christmas, the Christ Mass, and the Saturnalia, and the Epiphany, And losing 6 months' work on my computer, well, I think I'm a bit worn out, really. I didn't hear from anybody, not my daughter. I kept sending her hymns. Well, not kept on. I sent one now and then. I love carols from King's in the UK. It's a lovely all the carols from King's College in Cambridge, and they sing carols on a Christmas Eve, and I sent a video of that. So I'm not talking to her, but I'm sending this music. We both love music. So I'm going to see what time it is now. Oh, it's only 5 minutes. Oh, I could tell you that story about the pilots, couldn't I? It's an interesting little story. It's not really relevant to the season, but it's a nice little story. It's many, many years ago. I was in the area, and we are near a place called Kirkby-on-Bane, where the Lancaster, they've got one Lancaster, 4 engines. I love Air Force stuff, and they have days and things, you can go and look at all the stuff. But anyway, this one particular day, it was the middle of February, I think it was, or perhaps it was Epiphany, I wonder if it was, and I had this very strange elderly man friend, and we decided to set off for this airfield, not an airport, airfield, where there's a big hangar with all the bits and pieces belonging to the RAF during the war years. It's a very interesting place, actually. I love it. I really love it. And there's all these sort of mangled engines, several of them all mangled up, and being a psychic sort of person, I could feel the energy, because obviously the pilots died with their plane, they died with their plane. And it was really peculiar, because we decided to go on this particular day, and when we got there, the huge gates were closed. Well, we had our flask and our coffee, but the point is, you wanted to just look round a little bit. I had a feeling I had to go to this particular hangar where all the bits and memorabilia was kept. So we sat there for a while, and suddenly a hearse drew up, a hearse, flowers on the top. This hearse drew up, and apparently it was a celebration of the death of all the pilots who lost their lives in the war, some sort. I'm not sure it was a personal thing, it may have been, but we saw this hearse draw up, at gates opened, and then it shut. We didn't go in. So I thought that was quite poignant that we should happen to be there on that day. So I got out of the car and I crept round to the back of the hangar and stood there for a while. And I felt very sort of tearful, I was picking up all these pilots who had lost their lives. And they seemed to gather in that place, well, they would, because it was where their engines had all, scrambled up and fall onto the ground and whatever. Very moving place. So I got back in the car, and my friend, who isn't supposed to be psychic, we said, we've got Flight Lieutenant Davis saying thank you. I had sent them on to another dimension. They were stuck where they had lost their planes. I feel quite tearful talking about this. This happened about 10 years ago now, and I could feel them, just saying thank you. They've been sent on. I thought that was rather appropriate for the day when this funeral was being held. I love these sort of stories. So I think I've still got these chaps with me. So when I go to the hotel on Christmas days and celebrations and things like that at Chatham, they all gather round. There are tables outside, they all sit around and they're smoking their pipes and cigarettes, and they all gather round to hear what I have to say, just talking about this and that, really, just about the Earth plane and these weird things that happen here, So it was just a nice, that's how I filled my day. And I did speak to somebody, though I couldn't see them. And it was just a nice memorabilia day, if you know what I mean, because we talked about this and that, and they were probably, how long would they have been gone? Well, I was born during the war, so I kind of felt familiar with them, this little old lady. So it was really nice. On the way back, I was driving my car home, on the way back to my house, which is about 10 miles away. I heard one of them, now I'm not clairaudient either, believe it or not, this is all kind of intuitive stuff, and I heard one say, thank you for coming to see us and talking to us. Isn't that lovely? How many times do you get thanked on this plane, I think this is the purpose, really, of my video, the appreciation. I don't get thanked for much at all. I don't think many of us do. I think the more you do for people, the less you get thanked. This is the general thing I know. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just, just saying that in my experience, people don't appreciate. They don't appreciate things. Not people, not things, not. I mean, all this stuff from the television you see. I mean, does anybody ever hear thank you? And nature. I'm a great one for appreciation because I don't have it to me. But this was. I look at my trees and the mountains and thank you. It's so beautiful, isn't it? In the middle of winter, there's always something to look at. The frost or the stars. I love going out at 2 o'clock in the morning, stargazing. I know, and sometimes my friends come by. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen the lights moving across the sky? Many years ago, I used to go to somebody's house where they had a channeler, a medium. She'd go off into her, and we'd all sit round and listen. And there was the chap that ran it was a hypnotherapist. It was a very bizarre time. I have to go into it one time when I started my channeling. It was 45 years ago now, and one of the girls, we all thought she was rather a nut because she would say she'd see the lights moving. Well, of course they were spaceships. I know, you laugh at me, but I do know they are. Sometimes I say, give me a beam. Sometimes they'll stop and they'll send a beam, It's my Palladian friends. Sometimes they go, you can tell they're spaceships. They don't have a vapor trail and they're going pretty fast, pretty high up. And occasionally they'll just stop and send me a beam. And of course now we read it on the internet and it's actually happening in real life, isn't it? So someone's got to come and rescue us, haven't they? Where am I going with this? I'm losing my track. I was talking about the men, wasn't I? And the beams of light, the spaceships. I've forgotten what I was saying now. Oh yeah, the appreciation. So I'm standing out there in my nightie in the freezing cold, watching these things go by, talking to myself. Round here they must think I'm a silly old biddy, They must think I've got something wrong because I talk to myself a lot outside. So I've quite an interesting time, with these men and all the new revelations that are coming to us about these things. It's quite a fascinating time, isn't it? And I put on there's something called this Nemesis Maturity. It's the website and videos. The website science. The sun's activities, CMEs, the solar flares and so forth. And everyone makes comments, And somebody put a comment on there. It's been the latest CME. They do cause a lot of trouble, actually. Activate our electrical systems, as I've said before. And this particular person, she or he, was saying, "Oh, I'm glad it's Epiphany and the 3 wise men." And people do send nasty remarks, don't they? Oh, I must give you the name of the 3 wise men. Anyway, she or he was just making a comment, and this person comes up with a silly thing about mythology, and I made a comment, I do this quite a lot. I go through and I make little comments. I had the helpful ones, observations and so on, little tips and things like that. It's like a little community, isn't it, the YouTube, don't you think? Well, it is for me because I don't know anybody. So you read all the stuff and you think, that's interesting, and you send a little comment and set off. Sometimes they reply, sometimes they don't. Oh, I was going to tell you the names of these 3 wise men. And I think we had enough for today. Right. Casper, Melchizedek and Melchior. So that's the three wise men. All 3 travelling across the desert. How lovely. Oh, I love deserts. Anyway, it's 13 minutes, darling, so I'm going to have to go. Lovely to talk to you again. I hope it's not talking at you. I like talking to you. I like sharing all these things. So God bless for now then. And happy Epiphany. New Year's, oh yes, happy. Oh, we've got a full moon as well, a full moon in Capricorn. This is going to be a tricky time, isn't it, the next few days? I can't get this thing to work. I said, God, if I can keep smiling, I can tell you. God bless for now. Bye.